Ethan found himself in a narrow alleyway, the shadows pressing in from all sides. The faint glow of streetlights barely reached the depths of the alley. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see a group of menacing figures emerging from the darkness. The Suburban Storyteller presents Happy New Year, Chapter 3, Ethan Lee. Our story continues on December 31st, 2024 at 2 a.m. in New York City. Ethan Lee watched as Maria left the bar, her words still echoing in his mind. "It's 2 a.m. on the dot," she said. He sighed and pulled out his phone, scrolling through his emails. His heart sank as he opened one from his editor, a harsh reminder of his impending deadline. "Ethan, this is your last chance. If you don't have a rough draft by New Year's Eve, we're dropping you. You've had enough extensions. Get it done." The stress gnawed at him, tightening his chest. He glanced around at the bar, the festive atmosphere a stark contrast to his inner turmoil. Unable to face the bartender, Ethan slipped off his stool and edged toward the door, sneaking out without paying. "Hey, you forgot to pay," the bartender shouted at him, but Ethan didn't stop. He burst through the door and into the cold night, the frigid air hitting him with a slap. He took a deep breath, Maria's advice lingering in his thoughts. Get some fresh air. So he took her advice and started walking, his feet moving faster as the anxiety built up inside him. He didn't know where he was going, both literally and figuratively. The city streets stretched out before him, an endless maze of concrete and confusion. Eventually, Ethan found himself in a narrow alleyway, the shadows pressing in from all sides. The faint glow of streetlights barely reached the depths of the alley. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see a group of menacing figures emerging from the darkness. "Hey you," one of them called, his voice low and threatening. "What you got on you?" Fear shot through Ethan, and as he turned to run, he felt his heart in his chest, pounding. The group of men chased Ethan, their footsteps echoing ominously. Ethan sprinted down the alley, desperation fueling his speed. Just as he was about to give up hope, a voice called out to him. "Over here!" A woman stood in an open doorway, waving him inside. Without thinking, Ethan darted toward her, plunging into the relative safety of the building. The woman slammed the door shut, locking it behind them. "You're safe now," she said, her voice calm and reassuring. Ethan leaned against the wall, gasping for breath, his eyes adjusting to the dim lighting inside. "Thank you," he managed to say, still catching his breath. "You saved me." The woman smiled with a mysterious glint in her eyes. "Come on, let's get you out of the cold." She led him up a narrow staircase and into her apartment. Ethan glanced around, his initial relief giving way to curiosity. The apartment was unlike anything he'd ever seen. The walls were adorned in strange and eclectic art. There were paintings of surreal landscapes, sculptures made from twisted metal, and masks from various cultures. Every available surface was covered with odd trinkets and artifacts, creating a crowded yet fascinating environment. Candles lit the room, casting flickering shadows that danced across the strange decor. The absence of electricity made the apartment feel like a different world, a timeless space disconnected from the bustling city outside. "Take a seat," the woman said, motioning to a worn, velvet-covered chair. "I'll make us some tea." Ethan sat down, still trying to process the bizarre surroundings. "I didn't catch your name," he said, his voice hesitant. "Ladybug," she replied, without further explanation. Ethan found the name odd, but given the circumstances, he didn't question it. As she busied herself in the small kitchen area, Ethan's eyes roamed the room. He saw an antique clock that seemed to have stopped at a random time, a collection of feathers arranged in a pattern on the wall, and a series of crystals hanging from the ceiling. Everything about the place was odd, and yet oddly captivating at the same time. Ladybug returned with 2 steaming mugs of tea. "Here, this will warm you up," she said, handing him one. Ethan took a sip, surprised by the rich, soothing flavor. "This is amazing. What's in it?" Ladybug smiled. "You'd have to ask the owner of the trees for the recipe," Ladybug said. Ethan blanked, unsure if she was joking or serious. He decided not to press the matter and took another sip of the delicious tea. "So, Ethan," Ladybug said, settling down into the chair opposite from him, "what do you do?" "I'm a writer," Ethan replied, a hint of frustration in his voice. "Or at least I'm trying to be. I've been struggling with writer's block. I have a deadline coming up, and if I don't meet it, I'm done for." Ladybug nodded sympathetically. "I see. Writing can be a difficult muse. I'm a street performer and a nomadic traveler. I let Mother Earth's aura guide me from day to day," Ladybug replied. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "That sounds interesting." "It is," she said with a knowing smile. "I believe life can be an adventure if you let it be," she said. She handed him more tea. "Here, this should help you clear your mind." Ethan drank more of the tea, feeling a bit more relaxed. "It's really good," he said. "You sure you can't tell me the recipe?" She shook her head, her expression playful. "That's a secret only the trees know," she said. Ethan chuckled, still unsure if she was serious. Ladybug stood up and began to perform some tricks, juggling a series of objects with remarkable skill. She moved on to a series of acrobatic maneuvers, flipping and twisting with a grace that took Ethan by surprise. "You were in the circus?" he asked, genuinely impressed. "For a while," she replied, not missing a beat. "I've picked up many skills on my travels." Ethan watched her, fascinated by her abilities and the strange life she described. He couldn't help but feel a spark of inspiration, something he hadn't felt in a long time. Ladybug finished her performance and sat back down, her eyes studying him intently. "You're stressed, Ethan. What's really bothering you?" she asked. Ethan sighed. "I have to produce a rough draft before the new year, or I'll be dropped by my publisher. But I've got nothing. No ideas, no inspiration. I'm completely blocked, with the deadline less than 24 hours away." Ladybug reached out and took his hand, her grip surprisingly firm. "Sometimes we need a little help to unlock our creativity," she said. "Let me transfer some of mine to you." Ethan looked at her with skepticism, but she began to chant random phrases in a low, rhythmic tone. "A message from your son, the world at night, confessions of a quiet kid, the illusion of luxury, planned exit, only one unexplainable terror." Ladybug continued, even though Ethan tried to pull his hand away, feeling increasingly uncomfortable. She held on tighter now, her eyes intense. "What do we do now? Magnets, a mysterious series of contradictions. The Civil War of Utopia, the other team. He is with us. The strength to survive, backyard fights. The dirt floor, internet deficiency. Let's make it interesting. God's country, Happy New Year." She finally stopped chanting and released his hand, her eyes searching for his. "So, have you been inspired?" she asked. Ethan stood up quickly, his heart racing. "Yes! Inspired to leave," Ethan said as he bolted for the door, not looking back. He ran down the stairs and back onto the city street. He kept running, putting as much distance as he could between himself and Ladybug's apartment. Finally, he stopped. He pulled out his phone to check the time. It was 3 a.m. His heart was still pounding, but a new clarity had begun to emerge in his mind. "I know what to write about now," he said to himself, excitement building. "The strange lady named Ladybug. That's it. That's the story." Ethan ran through the streets chanting, "The strange lady named Ladybug." He knew he must have looked crazy, but he didn't care. He had his inspiration. Ethan knew he was going to spend the entire rest of the day writing. determined to finish his rough draft before the clock struck midnight. As he ran through the streets, the words began to form in his mind, each step bringing him closer and closer to his goal. The fear and anxiety melted away, replaced by a new sense of purpose and excitement for what the new year might bring. Thank you for listening. Chapter 4 is coming on May 24th.